Well, to get his take on the latest energy developments, I'm joined by energy expert Ted Blom. Thanks very much, Ted, for joining us. Now, Eskom is taking 4,000 megawatts off the grid, and they say this will only be done until 10 p.m. this evening. How likely do you think that will be?
From what I can ascertain, the problem is very serious at Eskom. The reason why they've had to increase the load shedding is because they've exhausted most of the other avenues and alternatives available to them. So, yes, I expect this to stick around for at least the rest of the week. And maybe even at 5 o'clock this evening, it might even go to level 6.
Do you think the South African public is getting full transparency on this whole outages story?
Absolutely not. And I've been campaigning about this problem for many years, but certainly for more than a year with the new Eskom management. They have not been transparent. And in fact, I've accused them of underreporting the load shedding because they don't report all the load shedding. They only report the load shedding to you and me and not the load shedding to heavy industry.
And what does happen with heavy industry right now, Ted? We know that there's a certain dispensation for them so that they can continue with business as usual. But when we get to this kind of stage 4, does this also affect them?
Oh, absolutely. When we get to stage 4 or so, then it severely affects them. So let me just quickly explain. The heavy industries have got a VLS agreement with Eskom, a voluntary load shedding. And that allows Eskom to take or steal 1 or 2 hours at a time from them. But they can't do more than that because then the pots freeze. In other words, solidifies. There's a molten stuff in the pots, whether it's aluminium or gold or platinum. It freezes if it's left without power for more than an hour or so. And then it's a disaster. It'll take 6 months or longer to unfreeze and chip it all out. So, yes, when Eskom has used that in the week, then the agreement with them is that they can't use more. And last Friday, with the parliamentary stuff, they had to use more. So they had to go back and get special dispensation from those customers. But the Eskom can't keep on doing that because at the end of the day, I worked out the parliamentary cost last week of the load shedding was between 900 million and 2.2 billion. Depending on how long the actual load shedding was for. South Africa can't afford that. We'll close our economy down if Eskom cannot supply us with adequate power.
We know that there's an emergency energy procurement process that's underway through the Department of Mineral and Energy Resources Department, but even those different sources of new energy are not going to come through or come on stream until sometime next year. So what happens in the meantime?
Well, in the meantime, we jump from crisis to crisis, and the earliest that those are expected to come online, if they sort out all the legal challenges and hurdles because of the corruption that allegedly is involved there, will be September next year. And even then, the power strips is only 1,200 megawatts. If the power strips were available today, they wouldn't have been able to. We'd need 3 times that fleet to keep us out of load shedding today. So, yes, that is just a drop in the ocean in terms of alleviating the pressure. The real problem is that Eskom has not stuck to its promises. At the beginning of last year, the new management gave a categorical undertaking that they were going to overhaul the whole fleet, within 18 months. That 18 months has now expired. And I challenge Eskom, take me to one of your power stations that's been properly overhauled and has received an original equipment manufacturer's warranty. And I can categorically tell you they won't be able to take me to one power station. Not that they want to entertain me at their power stations in any way.
You say that they haven't adhered to their promise that they made 18 months ago. Is it a case that they couldn't? Because obviously if you overhaul the system, it does have implications for load shedding as well.
Oh, no, absolutely. You have to have the space, which they didn't have. And secondly, you need to have the money. I told them at the time when the new novice management came on board that it would take at least 5 years to refurbish the whole fleet and at least 600 billion rand. Neither of which they have in the kitty. So the fact of the matter is that aspiration was a load of hogwash, which we were sold by the Eskom management. And I've categorically, time and time, tried to point out that they need to be reasonable in what they promise the public, instead of just blowing a lot of hot political rhetoric at our faces.
Ted, one last thing. What innovative solution do you have that we could use practically right now? I've heard people talking about us perhaps being permanently on load shedding stage 1 for quite some time, which frees up the space for Eskom to be doing the maintenance work and so on and so forth. And we just live with that rather than getting these stops and starts. What innovative solutions could we have right now?
Okay, so there's immediately a small solution that's available, which will alleviate the problem between 10 and 15%. But Eskom doesn't seem to have the technical capacity to understand what needs to be done. I've offered to bring my team in. I haven't received any acceptance from Eskom, and I understand that there's no love lost between them and me. But the fact of the matter is our economy is in crisis, and we need all hands on deck. And I'm prepared to take my team in and try and just resolve a small part of the problem. But by and large, what Eskom needs to do is what I said 10, 12 years ago, is that they need to bring in a fleet of emergency equipment for 3 to 5 years, give us a space to fix up the equipment properly. Forget about OEMs. No OEM is going to give you a warranty on equipment that's been abused. But at least try and do the best of our ability and have all hands on decks, whether it's retired people, people that have maybe not in the same sector anymore, but bring back the skill set that can fix up the problem. And then also just ask Parliament for a special financial dispensation so we can do this job. Because if there's no power, we haven't got an economy. And the fact of the matter is that for the last 12 years, we have had more than 500% tariff increases. And time again, I've alleged that there's corruption. And now that we've had the different commissions of inquiry, as well as the SIU, alleging more than 178 billion rands of corruption, all that tells me is that all this excess tariff increases that you and I have been paying Eskom has gone straight out the back door into corruption. Now, if they can't stop the corruption, we have lost our economy. There's nothing I can do about that. It needs to start with the political will at the top. And Eskom just last week, Tuesday, signed another corrupt deal of billions and billions of rands. And I'm really furious about that.
Ted, thank you very much for your insights there. So that was Ted Blom. He's an independent energy expert.